Hello and welcome to this afternoon. My name is Adrienne Summers and I'm the Executive Director of Apprenticeship at the American Association of Community Colleges. We refer to that as AACC, and we have a project which is called Expanding Community Colleges Apprenticeships. We refer to that as ekka. ekka is our team first, our ekka team. And the ekka team was charged with receiving a $20 million grant from the Department of Labor. And as part of the grant, AACC was charged and tasked with providing and serving 16,000 apprentices across the country through community colleges. This project started March 1st of 2019, and it will finish June 30th of 2022. So as part of the ekka project, AACC developed a virtual apprenticeship network toolkit. We refer to that as the VAN. It is an interactive tool. As you can see, it's a honeycomb shape. It is located on our homepage, and shortly I will type in the address for our homepage. But once you go to the AACC homepage, you can then go to a quick link, which is located in about the middle of the page. And the quick link will take you directly to this toolkit. It is a terrific guide for building, implementing, expanding apprenticeships. So as you're developing and figuring out what you would like to do in the apprenticeship space, as you're adding new occupations or deciding what occupations you would like to develop from the onset, this is a terrific interactive web-based tool. There are plenty of resources located on this virtual apprenticeship toolkit, as well as many success stories from our ekka partners, as well as some of the external partners that we had as part of this project. There is also data collection on this particular tool, and it is current through March 31st of 2022. So there are 5 key areas of the Virtual Apprenticeship Network Toolkit. It is implementing a registered apprenticeship program, effective messaging, and the messaging could be for community college leadership. It could be for your board of directors or trustees. It could also be for your faculty, and as well as external partners such as political partners, your workforce boards, advisory boards, and many other aspects. It also goes through managing and sustaining a registered apprenticeship program. Of course, the ekka data is also part of this VAN toolkit. And then we do quarterly showcases of the ekka partner projects. And as you can see, the honeycomb, you would just take your cursor and hover over the link, and that will take you directly to the link. When you do that, typically, as you can see here, click on any icon to open the page. Once you open the page, and I did the implementing a registered apprenticeship program, typically there are at least 3 to 5 to 6 additional links within that section. They're all labeled very self-explanatory. Many times we're asked about implementing a registered apprenticeship program. So one thing that when you are establishing a registered apprenticeship program at a college, there are 5 key things that you do need to do. First of all, you need to define your vision. What is your vision going to be for your particular apprenticeship experience at your college? Develop the internal systems to support your program. Apprenticeship basically touches almost every department within your college. So you do want to make sure that everyone is fully aware of your objectives and is fully on board to streamline that process with your college processes. The third item is identify your champion, your cheerleader. There is always needs to be a cheerleader for the institution in order to champion all of the great aspects and to assist with all of your workforce development employers. Because as we all know, we need employers first to be able to partner with us for the students to have an opportunity to participate in an apprenticeship. The fourth item is to define and build your program model. There's many models that exist. No two models are exact. Each college has their own ideas, their own vision that they want to accomplish. And many times they're working with different employers with different occupations. So certainly define and build your program model of what the college may have. And you may have several models, not just one model. Implement and scale. So implement and scale is definitely, obviously once you start with apprenticeship, somehow they keep continuing, which is fabulous. So as you're scaling the various apprenticeship programs, just think about how that's going to look for your institution. And certainly if anyone has any questions throughout this presentation, please put the items in the chat, and hopefully we'll have a few minutes at the end to be able to talk through some questions and answers. So one of the very important things with regards to this virtual apprenticeship network is our ekka data. Many people do ask what type of data and numbers that we have. So one of the things I want to share with you today is some of the data that we have. So as of March 31st of 2022, you can see that we have surpassed our goal of 16,000 apprentices. We're currently, this particular chart is going to indicate that we have 19,544. I am happy to report as of today, we're at 20,288 apprentices throughout the country that are participating in various occupations, and in this case, it's over 613 occupations. Again, our initial goal was 16,000, and originally this particular project was to end February the 28th of this year. We did extend it so that the extension goes through, for data collection, goes through June 30th of this year. And of the particular data sets that we do have, it's interesting to note that 64% of our apprentices are actually new employees. So these are people who are being hired to employers through the community college. They came to the college and signed up for an apprenticeship. The employers have hired them, so they are considered new employees. However, to note, especially for community colleges, is 36% are existing employees that are already working for an employer, and their employer has approached that particular individual to ask them to participate in this apprenticeship program. So the incumbent workers are certainly significant to note, because this is a segment that may be untapped for a potential student who would be going to college. So this is certainly something that is very nice for the community colleges to have an additional source of attracting students. This project involved 106 community colleges. And as you can see on the sheet, there are 58 individual colleges. However, we did have 8 colleges that were a consortia. For example, the state of Kentucky, they are a consortia of all their particular colleges. So each of the colleges in Kentucky did participate, but they went together under one umbrella. And we had several other states that also did that. There were 31 colleges that actually are the registered apprenticeship sponsor. And then we also had 31 states and territories that participated in this program. We have the state of Guam, or we have the territory of Guam, who's also participating in this project. We also had 8 industry partners, and industry partners were national partners, IBM, Lockheed Martin, ABC, and several chapters within ABC, the Minnesota Training Partners, which is MTP, and several other well-known national employers. AACC did create an advisory board at the beginning of this project, and we involved 54 executives on a national board level in order to be able to just facilitate and to keep us on track with some of the objectives that we wanted to reach. So we had 54 different individuals that did participate in our advisory board. And for each individual college, we have what we refer to as a one-pager. So we do have individual data for each college. And then for any of the consortias that we do have, we also have an individual college data sheet for them also. And we have an interactive tool on the VAN, the Virtual Apprenticeship Network, that the states that are participating, you can actually click on the states, and that'll tell you how many ekka colleges are participating, what the occupations are, and the number of apprentices that they're serving in that state. So there is additional interactive state information that is available. But please note, this is ekka data. This is not all of the community colleges that are from that state, just the community colleges from the state that are participating with this project. So I do want to share some other information in addition to the numbers that I just showed you. This is what a one-pager would look like. We do create it for the overall project, as well as I just said, the individual colleges and the consortia. So in addition to the number of apprentices, we also will build out the characteristics of your registered apprentices. So we have 18% Hispanics, 9% Black or African, 2% American Indian, 3% Asian, and so forth. So we do also provide a breakdown of the demographics. And you can see that we have 83% are men, 13% are women, and we have 4% that are unknown at this point in time. So as we all know, apprenticeship has predominantly been served by men, but certainly 13% women. We still have a lot of work to do, but that is certainly a significant number also in the scheme of things. We also list the type of apprenticeship, and the majority of our apprenticeships are time-based, with almost 79% that are time-based. And for our industry sectors, I will say that, as this chart indicates, about 62%, a little more than 62%, are currently the construction and advanced manufacturing. So typically the trades, occupations, and with 62%, so 38% is roughly other occupations. Other occupations include healthcare, hospitality, IT, transportation. So that is, ironically, we were in a meeting yesterday with the Department of Labor, and this is the traditional trend that they see throughout the country. So typically the construction trades are the higher numbers of participating apprentices, and the other occupations have a lower number. But I will note there was a significant difference in the data. So at the end of December, we had about 78%, roughly about 78% that were the trades, and about 22% that were other occupations. So we have significantly increased the other occupations, so that we're up to about 34% now in other occupations, which is certainly a wonderful trend to be seeing. Because as we know, the trades certainly have been doing apprenticeships for quite some time. They're fully aware of how to do them, and they do them well. But there's many other opportunities in the other occupations. So it is nice to see that there are some occupations that are starting to explore and adopt the apprenticeship for some of their models with hiring and training individuals. Do also want to give you some resources. In addition to our VAN Toolkit, there are plenty other resources that are available. So apprenticeship.gov is one terrific resource, and our VAN Toolkit is also located as a link in the apprenticeship.gov space. We would be under the education resources. And certainly there's some quick start toolkits, building registered apprenticeship programs, HCAP, which is the Healthcare Career Advancement Program, the Toolkit for High Road Apprenticeships in the Healthcare Industry. Harper College has notoriously worked with apprenticeship for quite a while. They do have a toolkit. Connecting apprenticeship and higher education, there are 8 recommendations, and they're high quality pre-apprenticeship programs for community colleges. So certainly I'm open to other questions if you have that, but these are some additional resources I did want to share. And likewise, once you go to apprenticeship.gov, our VAN Toolkit is also there. And certainly going to our homepage at AACC would also be a direct link to our VAN Toolkit. At this point in time, do I have any questions that I can answer? It's a lot of information. So the question is, seeing any trends in the retention? So as most of you should probably know, I'm not sure, the statistic is about 92% retention rate for success of apprenticeship as reported by the Department of Labor. Because this grant started in March of 2019 and we're finishing up very soon. Unfortunately, we have a very low completion rate because, as you know, especially in the trades, it's 4 years until an apprentice will complete their apprenticeship. So as a result of that, we are going to have very little completion data, which also would indicate we have not a lot of retention data. We can provide the data, and we're starting to explore that now, of what we have available. And we're hoping that as we go forward, we'll be able to see, hopefully, our next data pool, which would be the final data pool in July, that we'll be able to provide more information, because potentially there would be some apprentices that would have finished by then. So what are the key steps for community college to consider in setting up new apprenticeship programs? The key steps, I did start to indicate them, was defining your vision, developing the internal, and there is specifically, let me go back to my slide, there is specifically, so this is implementing a registered apprenticeship program. And in this particular section, there's a section on assessing college readiness. That has also been a stumbling point for some colleges because, again, the college does require an assessment prior to entering into any coursework, which would include their apprenticeship. So this is basically figuring out how to do those assessments and working from there in order to transition into the apprenticeship programs. Many colleges, and again, it's depending on the state, does the college decide to want to be a sponsor, an intermediary, or a related instruction provider? We go through, some of the options to give you some additional information to be able to assist in making those decisions. And I can say, prior to coming to AACC, I worked for Howard Community College. I developed 11 occupations in a little less than 3 years. We had 0 apprenticeship, and I took that on. We had 11 occupations, of which 9 occupations we were the sponsor as well as the related instruction provider. And 2 of those programs we were the related instruction provider only. So it does not have to be, once you decide on one particular aspect or choice. It doesn't mean that every single program going forward has to be the exact same way. There's also identifying potential strategies in right-to-work states versus the non-right-to-work states, how to establish a registered apprenticeship program, calculating the return on the investment for the college, and registering new registered apprentice standards programs in state apprenticeship agency states versus Office of Apprenticeship states. So again, you can click on each link and that will even provide more information. And at the end of each link, there's also success stories on that particular aspect. So assessing college readiness, we're going to have some success stories that are going to help you just see what other colleges throughout the country have done as part of this project and what their success has been. So go back, sorry. And just going to give you our contact information. So the question is, in starting up an apprenticeship program, what federal funds may be available for startup funding? So there is definitely funding that has been available, has been released, has been on the street, and there's certainly more funding that will be coming down the pike. Ironically, AACC hosted a meeting for several affiliates yesterday and Tuesday, and Department of Labor was also present for our meeting. One of the funds was the ABA was just released, however, that has closed. Currently, there's a woman apprenticeship, I believe, funding opportunity that is available. And I would definitely continue to watch grants.gov to see what else does become available, because there's many grant opportunities. There will be many grant opportunities in the near future and in the future, because apprenticeship right now does have, that seems to be the key word, and a lot of the funding opportunities. And let me put the homepage, AACC. So this is our homepage that I've just typed into the chat. If you go to the homepage, in the middle of the page is the quick link, and the quick link will take you directly to our VAN, which is the Virtual Apprenticeship Network. And it is a wonderful opportunity for a lot of resources for you as you're looking and exploring about apprenticeships. So, and I will ask William, you're asking about starting up an apprenticeship program. Are you currently with a college now? Do you have apprenticeship at the moment, or are you looking to totally start from the beginning?
Adrienne, thanks. I'm not affiliated with the community colleges, but I've been looking at the programs and just trying to ask you some key questions that I think will help some of the schools now looking at these programs to set them up.
Absolutely, and again, this program, was a sole source cooperative agreement with the Department of Labor. We don't know if we're going to have another opportunity such as this ekka project in order to be able to help community colleges. As one of the ekka colleges, when I previously worked at Howard Community College, we literally use the funds from AACC to be able to provide the framework, the groundwork to start various occupations with getting the approval through the state of Maryland, looking at curriculum, writing curriculum, having things reviewed, curriculum prepared. So we did a lot of that development, curriculum writing information in order to be able to use those funds towards that. I've seen many different aspects. People have used it for personnel. People have used it, meaning institutions of community colleges. So there are opportunities for funding that will be available and that is available. Hopefully AACC will have another opportunity for some additional grants in the future. And certainly we're a member-driven organization, so we do offer the funding that we receive for our members. Any other questions? William, that is actually a very interesting question. That is a question that is being debated right now because some community colleges have apprenticeship on their non-credit side. And as you know, typically Pell has not been available for non-credit students. Although there are some apprenticeship programs on the credit side of which then Pell potentially can be used. Some colleges operate very differently because sometimes colleges have the employers pay entirely the cost, and that does offer some different aspects to the financial aid process because there's a third-party source funding. It's really, there's so many ins and outs that it's very difficult to say how can Pell grants be used for apprenticeship, because there's so many unique nuances based on state, based on the way that the student is entering an apprenticeship, whether it's on the credit or the non-credit side. If an employer is paying for part of the tuition fees, expenses, etc. That is being discussed definitely in some of the apprenticeship work through the Department of Labor, and how that Pell may potentially be able to be used in the future for apprenticeship. So stay tuned and please keep up with some of the information that is coming out of the Department of Labor and through the government in itself. Is there a specific challenge when offering credit for apprenticeship programs, and why is non-credit so prevalent? I can tell you that I actually mixed both credit and non-credit. I was housed on the non-credit side when I worked for Howard Community College. 9 out of 11 of our programs were credit programs. 2 of them were non-credit, and that was because we were the related instruction provider only. The curriculum already existed, and it was not approved through the academic department to offer as a credit program. So sometimes it takes a very long time to get through the curriculum and instruction approval process for institutions. And that is one reason why the non-credit, because they don't have the approval hoops to jump through, can offer some of this particular programs. So hopefully that answered that, but it all depends. I did offer credit programs, and sometimes we did put some non-credit. For example, construction management. We added a CPR course and an OSHA 30 course. They are traditionally non-credit courses, but because we offered those and that was part of the apprenticeship, that can be counted towards the related instruction time. So even though it was a credit program, we did have some non-credit courses that were part of the total related instruction hours for the apprenticeship program.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Please let me know. My contact information is here if you have any additional questions.
And so now we are going to move on to our final panel, which I will be moderating.